We thought it was a legitimate ING website. It was a scam, and it never went to ING.
This couple has done all the right things. They've worked and saved hard to set themselves up for their retirement, but they lost it all to a sophisticated scam. There were red flags galore. So how did 3 major banks miss them all?
Kerry did everything they were supposed to do. They worked. They saved. They accumulated $240,000 across careers spent building toward a retirement they assumed was secure. The money represented decades. It represented discipline. It represented the tangible proof that their choices had been correct. When they began searching for a term deposit with a competitive interest rate, they approached the task with the same diligence they had applied to earning the money in the first place. They did research. They compared options. They found what appeared to be an ING product offering favorable terms. They clicked on a link to obtain a quote. Within days, a phone call arrived. A man identifying himself as John Cook from ING. He sounded professional. He knew the terminology. He answered questions with fluency. Every step of the way, the interaction aligned with what Kerry and Kerry expected from a legitimate financial institution. Documents followed. Contracts. Payment instructions. All bearing ING's logos, all formatted to match the institutional standards they had encountered before. The website they had found was not ING. It was a replica, constructed to be indistinguishable from the original. The phone call was not from a bank employee. It was from a scammer operating a script refined through repetition. The documents were forgeries. The logos were stolen. The entire architecture of legitimacy had been fabricated to exploit the couple's reasonable expectation that a Google search and a professional phone call would lead to a real institution. This is the operational sophistication that now defines financial fraud. The scammers did not rely on urgency or emotional manipulation. They relied on procedural mimicry. They created an experience that felt like banking because it replicated every visible element of banking. Kerry and Kerry were not careless. They were careful in ways that no longer provide protection.
We have lost $240,000.
It's just completely turned our lives upside down. Yeah, all our plans for the future, they're just gone.
Meet Kerry and Kerry. The Sunshine Coast couple have the same name. They're the same age. They built their retirement fund together. Now they've both hit rock bottom.
It's so hard to comprehend unless it happens to you.
The scams are becoming so sophisticated.
3 major banks, $250,000 missing, and no one batted an eyelid. How on earth did this happen?
We thought it was a legitimate ING website. It was a scam, and it never went to ING.
Every morning you wake up and you just relive it. You know, it just doesn't go away, and you're still in shell shock, and you're still angry, and you're still ashamed, and you still feel guilty.
Like many Australians, Kerry and Kerry were shopping around for the best interest rate on their term deposit.
We did a lot of research. And we found an ING term deposit.
I clicked on the obtain a quote, and within, I think, about a day or 2 of doing that, we had a phone call from John Cook from ING.
Or so they thought.
And it all seemed legit.
Absolutely, every step of the way.
Every step of the way.
Did he sound like he knew what he was talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He did.
Yep.
So-called John Cook emailed through a competitive quote, documents, contracts and payment instructions using ING's logos, but it was all fake.
You were with Suncorp at this time. All your life savings was with Suncorp. You went into the actual branch. Yep. What happened?
We got to the teller and we just explained to him that we were looking to withdraw the money because we were investing in a term deposit with ING. And that's when he asked to see the email. He looked at it and he said, yeah, it looks all right. But, you know, if you're really concerned, you can ring ING.
So, Kerry claims she did call ING in front of the teller.
And did a Google search for ING contact number, was exactly what I put in, and it came up, 133464. It is their phone number. But I rang it and I didn't get through to ING. I got through directly to the scammers.
The phone spoofing represents a layer of technical sophistication that fundamentally alters the nature of verification. Carrie stood in a Suncorp branch, in front of a teller, and placed a call to verify the legitimacy of the transaction. She searched for ING's official number. She dialed correctly. The number she called was authentic, but the call never reached ING. The scammers had compromised her phone in a way that redirected outgoing calls to numbers they controlled. The verification process, performed correctly, connected her to the people defrauding her. This is not a failure of victim diligence. This is a technological intervention that renders diligence ineffective. But the institutional failures extend beyond what Carrie could control. The teller at Suncorp reviewed the email from the scammers. The email address was not an authorized ING domain. The teller did not notice. A supervisor was involved. The supervisor signed off. Neither identified that the BSB number provided did not belong to ING. The destination account was held at Commonwealth Bank. The transaction was approved anyway. 2 bank employees, presented with documentation that contained verifiable errors, approved a transfer of $250,000. The couple provided what they believed were ING account details. A basic cross-reference would have revealed the discrepancy. The check was not performed. The money moved. ING's own website carried warnings about exactly this type of scam: impersonation fraud, fake term deposit offers, spoofed communications. The warnings existed. They were visible. But in the chain of interactions that led to the transfer, no one consulted them. Not the couple, who trusted their research. Not the teller, who trusted the documents. Not the supervisor, who trusted the teller. The money arrived at Commonwealth Bank. It was withdrawn almost immediately. It moved through international channels, routed through IP addresses across the world, converted into forms that resist recovery. By the time Carrie understood what had happened, the funds had been distributed across a system designed to absorb stolen money and make it disappear.
They didn't know this at the time, and the Suncorp teller approved the transaction. $240,000 gone straight to the scammers.
Our phones had been spoofed. Once the scammers have spoofed your phone, then any phone calls you make on that to where you think you're making them to, they just intervene and take over the call because it's just going straight to them.
But there were telltale signs that somehow weren't spotted.
So there was a young teller and a supervisor that both signed off on it that day.
Yep.
They didn't pick up the dodgy email address, and they didn't pick up that it wasn't an ING BSB number.
Correct.
By the time you went to Commonwealth Bank, your money was gone.
Oh, well and truly. Taken out pretty much straight away and then moved around the world through various IP addresses.
Who do you blame?
Clearly the scammers. But I have to say, I have to blame Suncorp. I just felt that their duty of care to us was sadly lacking.
Yeah.
Are they refusing to pay your money back?
Yep.
Suncorp's position is that the transaction was authorized. The couple signed withdrawal requests. The bank acted on instructions. From the institution's perspective, the process was followed. The customer requested a transfer. The transfer was executed. This framing places the burden of fraud detection entirely on the victim. It treats the teller's review as sufficient, the supervisor's approval as adequate, the presence of a signature as conclusive. It does not account for the spoofed phone. It does not account for the unverified email domain. It does not account for the mismatched BSB number. It does not account for the fact that the destination was a Commonwealth Bank account, not an ING account, and no one noticed. Carrie must now consider selling their house, selling their car, finding employment. Working, they estimate, until their 80s. The retirement they spent decades building has been replaced by a future of remediation, of attempting to reconstruct what was taken. The Australian Financial Complaints Authority is reviewing the case. Suncorp says it is cooperating. These are procedural statements. They do not constitute restoration. The money remains gone. The scammers remain unidentified. The systems that failed to prevent the loss continue to operate unchanged. Every morning, Carrie wake up and relive it. Shell shock, anger, shame, guilt. These are the residues of a fraud that succeeded not because the victims were negligent, but because the institutions designed to protect them failed at every checkpoint where protection might have occurred. They did everything right, and it was not enough.